We have got a brand new RC car today, and I'm really excited to talk about it. This is the Team Corally Asuga buggy. This is an oversized 1/8 scale buggy, and it looks really awesome. They've got a lot of updated features from their previous versions of their 1/8 scale line. Before we dive into those, make sure you get subscribed. We've got a ton of really awesome stuff coming up, and you're not going to want to miss it. Now, digging into this thing, we've got a bunch of new parts on this, and a bunch of parts that are going to look familiar as well. First thing to clear up is, while this is large for a 1/8 scale buggy, this is still going to be basically their 1/8 scale platform. It's just the updated version of it. For a 1/8 scale buggy, this is going to be about the length of an Arrma Typhon, a little bit more narrow like you'd expect from a buggy, and shares about 70% of the parts with their previous versions, but they've made some really significant updates. The first update I want to talk about is that they have all new arms on this truck, and these arms are probably the beefiest arms I've seen on a 1/8 scale platform. They're very thick, have a lot of bracing, and not only do they have reinforcement rings where the pillow balls screw in, but they've also got reinforcement rings on the lower arms where the hinge pins go through on the inside. That's something I haven't seen before, and that's really going to beef up an area that tends to break if an arm's going to break. The other major new standout that I see here is their center bracing system. This new brace has big, thick, chunky plastic bits going down into the chassis, and then these large steel flat pieces going up into the center differential area. I think this is going to be an extremely strong solution to the bracing problem. Speaking of things they've updated, this is going to be a new chassis design that's fairly similar to the old one, but not completely compatible. They've also got new front and rear bumpers. Of course, this new gorgeous body that I really think looks awesome. It's going to be coming in 3 different colors: blue, green, and red. I think the blue looks really good. That's probably the one I'm going to be going for. To go along with that, of course, they've got a larger wing. They've got some bigger wheels and tires. These wheels and tires look to be about truggy size. Tread on them looks good. I think the wheels look pretty sweet. Beyond that, let's talk about what isn't really new. Like I said before, this shares 70% of the parts with the previous platform, so there's going to be a lot of stuff here that you're already familiar with. Things that I really like to see are the power system. Now, only some of these vehicles are going to have the power system because this is going to be available as a roller and as an RTR, which I think is a great thing for people that want to put their own power systems in. This power system is the one that we're all familiar with. It's got the 185 amp Hobbywing ESC and the matching motor. Comes with a decent servo that works pretty good on 7.4 volts. And that updated radio that we first saw in the Skeeter. This also has the spring steel differential inputs and outputs that we first saw on the Kronos XTR, has an updated steering rack with an upper and lower brace, 5mm front and rear shock towers that are CNC machined. Now, attached to those towers is something I really would have liked to have seen updated, but doesn't look like it has been. These are the same shocks that we had on the previous version, and the shocks themselves are good, but the upper shock mounts, the shock caps, and the lower shock mounts are a little bit of a weak area on this truck, and I really was hoping to see a completely redesigned shock for this, so hopefully that's something we'll get to see in the future. Like I said, though, those shocks are mounted to some of the beefiest arms I've seen, probably the beefiest arms in the 1/8 scale segment. Those are attached to some really nice thick hinge pin supports. Moving in from that, we've got the same differentials that we had on the previous versions. I think that's a good thing. I've never had any problems with their differentials. All right, that's what's new, that's what's not new. Let's talk about pricing. This thing's going to be coming in at $380 for the roller and $600 for the RTR. That's a bit more of a discount than I would expect to see off of an RTR for a roller, so I think for those of you that want to use your own electronics, that $380 is going to be a really good price point for the roller. Now, speaking of new cars, what do you think about this new one from Relarlo?